So we're a few days from the release of Black Widow and the cracks in the MCU are starting to really show.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
It's nothing new to have extremely positive reviews pop up before a movie comes out, but over the last few years, it's become painfully obvious to see which reviews are genuine and which are purchased. Then around 2016, I started to notice something even worse than giving a film positive reviews for money. Giving a film a pass because of ideology. Ghostbusters 2016 comes to mind. Ocean's 8, Captain Marvel, and more all got passes because of the climate we lived in. Women leads? We gotta overlook the flaws to build up these important pieces of shit. Black Widow is surprisingly different. Roughly 2 weeks ago, early Twitter reactions started popping up. The reviews were positive, but not really. Let's take a look. The first social media reactions to Black Widow are finally here. Scarlett Johansson's solo Marvel Studio movie has been a long time coming, with arguments coming that it should have been a Phase 1 film. Initially set to kick off Marvel's Phase 4 in May of 2020, it's been pushed back several times and is currently slated for July 2021. Marvel Studios is offering a more grounded narrative in their upcoming big screen offering, but Black Widow's more important element, however, is wrapping up Nat's MCU story in a satisfying way. Now, the initial consensus of the movie is up on social media, with several critics sharing their thoughts about it. What you'll notice here, there are a lot of blue check marks. I watched #Black Widow yesterday, and it's just as refreshingly different to other Marvel Studios releases as it is just to have these big movies back. The leads are awesome and the story does some unexpected things. It's the most adult MCU release to date, but still offers a few laughs. Black Widow has a lot of red lights, lots of wonderful and practical action sequences, lots of red lights, funny Red Guardian content, and lots of red lights. A few scenes have confusing timing, /logistics, /locations, or questionable accents, but overall great. I want more. So #Black Widow is a very good movie for the most part. Lots of Bond in there, lots of very good action, and great performances from Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, and David Harbour in particular. It's always better when it's not trying too hard to be an MCU movie. Natasha Romanoff has never had her own story, and the Black Widow finally delivers in a way that'll make you wish she wasn't gone. Well, I certainly enjoyed Black Widow. As one comes to expect from a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, the movie is packed with crazy eye-popping action and that signature brand of humor, plus a strong emotional core that pulls the heartstrings. Black Widow is one of Marvel's best solo films. Start to finish, the movie is great. Excellent surprises, emotional character moments, badass action, and Scarlett Johansson finally gets to pour everything into the role. #Black Widow is not a bad film by any means, but it isn't a necessary one either. If it had been released before Infinity War, maybe I'd be singing a different tune. By the time the film reaches its third act, it completely falls apart. Black Widow is so disappointing. Scarlett Johansson tries, but the script, pacing, and poor character development sink the film. Starts off promising, but by the second act becomes a disjointed, uneven mess, generic, uninspired, and ultimately lacking the Marvel magic. So if you notice, the people who usually shill the hardest can't because the film is apparently not that good. If that was it for this story, I wouldn't have made the video. But there's more. A lot more, and it's making me wonder if the Marvel age of cinema is over. Marvel Comics have had many ups and downs over the years, but they've remained a constant, a benchmark for success. Marvel Studios has never had anything besides success. No MCU film has ever been a failure at the box office, but almost no other film has had such low reviews in the MCU either. IGN, the definition of bought and paid for, has reviewed Black Widow, giving it a 7 out of 10, citing, while it has action and humor aplenty, Marvel's Black Widow still isn't quite the stellar solo film the fallen Avenger deserves. Not a bad review by any stretch, but nothing special either. I took a review like that as a big red flag though. IGN loves to crank out lazy articles that trick you into thinking they wrote something completely new, but I recognize a copy-paste job when I see it. Instead of making me roll my eyes, it made me do a double take. IGN put out an article ranking every MCU film. Just for the hell of it, I cross-referenced it with Black Widow's review, and by IGN's metrics, Black Widow is the second worst MCU film. That's ranking it against 23 other MCU films, i.e. everything that came before it. By their measure, only The Incredible Hulk is worse than Black Widow. Not high praise. The Incredible Hulk was released in the days before the Disney buyout, meaning that the review was the legit opinion of the reviewer. No fear of burning bridges with Disney come to mind. That's when a reviewer could be honest. Now, I'll be honest. I liked The Incredible Hulk. Quite a bit, actually. But we live in the world where Disney movies get an instant pass. They changed the way Rotten Tomatoes worked just to protect Captain Marvel, and to make sure it got stunning and brave reviews. This time, the female lead isn't groundbreaking, so Disney isn't spending any money to protect it. Or maybe it's just that bad. A 7 out of 10 is not a bad score at all, but a 6 isn't anything special to write home about. GameSpot reviewed the film and gave it a 6, citing, "The film reveals more about Natasha/the Black Widow, excellent chemistry between Johansson and Pugh, and Florence Pugh and David Harbour are standout stars." And those are the pros. As for the cons, it's clumsy pacing and editing, instantly forgettable villains, set awkwardly between previous MCU films, Natasha's death in Endgame casts a long shadow, marred by shoddy-looking CGI, and finally, plays fast and loose with Natasha's power level. From this, it looks like a lot of the concerns I had going in were fair. Marvel is setting itself up for failure if they plan to start playing fast and loose with timelines. People cite it working on TV, but the TV and film audiences are very different. What I'm saying is, having 23 films take place in a linear fashion, but starting now, having films take place between said films, becomes confusing for normal audiences, and I'm glad this reviewer pointed that out. Getting Endgame to become the biggest film ever required a massive audience, one much larger than those who have Disney+. We have concrete info for one. But when it comes to streaming, there aren't too many variables, unless they tell us. And they only tell us the streaming numbers when the money is good. Another point I'm glad this reviewer brings up is Black Widow's death in Endgame means a lot. Avengers Endgame being the biggest movie ever means massive amounts of people watched her die. Some are confused as to why she has her own film after they killed her, and others aren't emotionally invested enough to come back because Endgame hit them where they live. What a film like Black Widow does is point at how useless its existence is. Why this film now? If money's the answer, I think they're in for a surprise because a lot of people see through this greedy shit and aren't biting. The existence of the MCU was to tell one massive, ever-growing epic. That epic has come to a close. So now what's the point? Why release this now? Why not tell her story when she was, I don't know, alive? That's where this movie dies on the vine. The why. Why now? What about Captain Marvel was necessary before Endgame? She's not relevant even after her own film. Marvel knew, and that's why she was barely in Avengers Endgame. I know we're all sexist, but I've been on board with Black Widow since Iron Man 2. Yeah, she looked good, but damn it, she was cool too. When the Avengers rolled around, I was happy to see her. She felt natural. I never questioned why the super spy was on a team fighting alongside gods and monsters because she was well written. The existence of this movie spits in the face of that great story arc by milking her one last time. We all know where she's going next. It shouldn't come as a surprise that there are people kissing this movie's ass because it angers the right people. A few days ago, tweets started popping up confirming that Black Widow passed the Bechdel test. Who cares? Idiots. That's who care. I'm going to make up a test called the Hicks test, which is the measure of bullshit spewed by people to excuse an otherwise average, forgettable, or bad film by letting ideology dictate a film's overall score. Here's the Mary Sue's take. I bet Captain Marvel's number 2, isn't it? They failed the test. Ghostbusters 2016 and other female-led bombs showed that you can't guilt audiences into something. Is that what's happening here? Yes and no, actually. Certain places want to champion girl power as if it were one legendary marketing tool. Look, it's not 1998 anymore. The Spice Girls aren't even around. I thought we were all supposed to be equal, so why this division? In our next video, I'll be discussing feminism and superheroes, so be here on Thursday for that, but hit subscribe right now so you don't forget. Now, I don't think any of this ideology stuff will kill Black Widow, nor do I think it'll fail, but the tide has turned, and I think apathy will hurt this film and the slew of uninspired films on the horizon. As I was nearing the end of production for this video, a new article popped up that really speaks to society's collective lack of hype for Black Widow. True Detective actor Stephen Dorff says he's embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson for appearing in garbage Black Widow. Johansson is reprising her role as the titular character for Marvel's next blockbuster, which comes to theaters later this week. This is the first movie to be focused mainly on Johansson's character after she appeared in 7 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Dorff is known for his roles in True Detective and Blade. He stars as the controversial MMA fighter in his latest movie, Embattled, and he told The Independent in an interview that he would still hunt out the good shit because I don't want to be in Black Widow. It looks like garbage to me, he continued. It looks like a bad video game. I'm embarrassed for the people. I'm embarrassed for Scarlett. I'm sure she got paid $5 to $7 million, but I'm embarrassed for her. I don't want to be in those movies. I really don't. I'll find that kid director that's going to be the next Kubrick, and I'll act for him instead. Dorff is not the only person to criticize the superhero film genre. The renowned director Martin Scorsese has previously branded Marvel films as theme parks rather than cinema. He told Empire, honestly, the closest I can think of them, as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks. This isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being. Dorff also criticizes the film industry as a whole. This year's Oscars were the most embarrassing I've ever seen, he told The Independent. My business is becoming a big game show. You have actors who don't have a clue what they're doing. You have filmmakers who don't have a clue what they're doing. Deacon Frost may be onto something, though I enjoy popcorn flicks the most when they're actually good. I'm genuinely surprised websites have the nerve to post anti-Disney articles like this. Before the pandemic, fear kept everyone in line. Now they've lost that power, or they've just stopped paying. What's next for Marvel is the most interesting. We have 2 untested Marvel properties in the pipeline, Shang-Chi and the Eternals. Shang-Chi looks cool, the Eternals does not. I've never seen a less impressive MCU trailer. I knew I could have fun at Captain Marvel's expense, but the Eternals looks boring. Genuinely boring. If Black Widow, an established and well-loved character, is drawing so much ire after a decade plus of Marvel dominance instead of hype, Marvel is truly in a terrible place. When Spider-Man drops at the end of the year, hopefully the bleeding will have stopped, but I don't think Disney can buy these films $1 billion box office after the pandemic, so I expect 2021 to be the year that audiences turn on Marvel. If I'm wrong, cool, but based on what we've been hearing and seeing, the Marvel age of cinema is over. So folks, what do you think about this? I'm very interested to hear your take. When this movie was announced to be pushed back for over a year, I didn't care. Go back and listen to our response. Like I said, like you've said, like most people have said, the story ended in Endgame. What else is there to tell? The character's dead. Of all the people to pick to make a movie based on, they pick the one character who has the ultimate sacrifice to save the day. That wipes it away. That makes this film less interesting. We already watched her die. We already know where the story's gonna go. But I will be back on Thursday to discuss Black Widow one last time before the review drops. Now, we will have a review this Thursday night. It will replace the podcast. Episode 273 will be the Black Widow review. So be back, same WCBS time, same WCBS channel, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday night. We've been doing it for well over 5 years, and we're going to be back this week with another one. So, want to know what we think of the movie before you go and check it out? Come back on Thursday. Want to know if it's woke? Want to know if it's terrible? Want to know if it's any of these things? Come back on Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and make sure you're subscribed to this channel because every week we go live, and it's a lot of fun. So I've been told. Okay, everyone says it's fun. So come join us on Thursday, have fun, but join us on Thursday morning for another video. So in the meantime, folks, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.